4 duties to employers. Here we have three substandards: 4A, which is loyalty, 4B, additional compensation arrangements, and 4C, responsibilities of supervisors. The first case has to do with standard 4A, loyalty. According to this standard, in matters related to their employment, members and candidates must act for the benefit of their employer and not deprive their employer of the advantage of their skills and abilities, divulge confidential information, or otherwise cause harm to their employer. Now, the case: Nicoli is an investment counselor with HHI. A colleague at her local society encourages Nicoli to leave HHI and join her at Vesuvius. Nikolai eventually agrees and decides to leave at the beginning of the new year. In the weeks before submitting her resignation, she informs her clients that they will likely be working with a new investment counselor because she is leaving HHI. Her clients express surprise, and when asked for details about why she is leaving, Nicoli shares that she is frustrated by the firm's structure, disagrees with the direction the firm is going, lacks confidence in the current leadership, doubts the firm will be able to attract and retain good people, and believes other HHI employees have been mistreated and will also be leaving soon. Several of Nicoli's HHI clients indicate that they would like information about Vesuvius and might be interested in switching their accounts. After submitting her resignation, Nicoli immediately shares the names of the interested clients with Vesuvius, and after the first of the year, she begins soliciting them to transfer their accounts from HHI to her new firm. Nicoli's conduct is A, a violation of the code and standards, B, acceptable because she did not solicit clients until after she left HHI, C, acceptable because she is looking out for her clients' best interests and believes Vesuvius provides better service. So this is fairly straightforward. Nicoli is still working at her original firm, HHI, when she starts saying negative things about her employer. So on the one hand, she is taking a salary from HHI, she is on HHI's payroll, and at the same time, she is saying negative things about HHI to clients with clearly an intention that clients get disillusioned with HHI and then move their business to Vesuvius. And it also appears that she is talking about Vesuvius and the fact that she might be moving here while she is still an employee of HHI. So clearly, Nicoli is violating the code and standards, and therefore option A is the best one. The next case is also related to 4A, loyalty. Kuznetsov is a portfolio manager at an investment firm. Kuznetsov's firm encourages its employees to sell proprietary investment products to their clients. Kuznetsov starts selling these products, and within a year, he becomes the firm's top seller. He also receives a large bonus for his performance. Later, however, Kuznetsov realizes that the firm's investment products are underperforming and are more expensive than other external investment options that are suitable for his clients. He therefore stops selling the firm's products. Kuznetsov's supervisor puts pressure on him to resume selling, but Kuznetsov refuses. He complains several times to the management that he is being pressured. He also secretly records several conversations with his supervisor and makes copies of client records that document what he considers inappropriate conduct by his supervisor. When management ignores his complaints and his supervisor starts giving him poor performance reviews, he files a complaint with the local regulator against his supervisor and his firm, providing the recordings and copies of client files as evidence. He is eventually fired from the firm. Kuznetsov's actions are A. appropriate because he is protecting his client's interests, B. a violation of the code and standards because he fails to keep client information confidential, C. a violation of the code and standards because he violates his duty of loyalty to his employer by taking his dispute with his supervisor to the regulator and exposing the employer to financial and reputational harm. Now, this case illustrates a very important point. While loyalty to one's employer is important, but loyalty to the employer does not supersede loyalty to one's clients. If the employer is doing something that hurts the interest of clients, then it is important to work in the best interest of clients, and that is what Kuznetsov is doing. He first tries to convince his supervisor and his company to act in the best interest of clients, and when his supervisor and his company does not do that, then he starts collecting evidence, and that evidence is shared with the regulator. It's not shared with competitors or anyone else from whom Kuznetsov might benefit personally. Clearly, he is acting in the best interest of clients and he is trying to follow the law. Therefore, Kuznetsov's actions are appropriate. He is simply protecting his client's interests, and so the best answer is A. The next case is also related to 4A, loyalty. Clemens is a wealth management advisor for Delorier Strategic Advisors. She looks after the financial planning and wealth management for many retail clients. She met many of her clients through her spouse and sister. Clemens has decided to leave Delorier and join another firm. In her new role, she will take on more research and investment management responsibilities. She will not be expected to generate new advisory clients. Clemens leaves Delorier on good terms. On her final day, she downloads a spreadsheet of Delorier's clients, prospects, and former clients and sends it to her personal email. The list includes names, assets under management, addresses, and phone numbers. Clemens plans to contact her clients as a courtesy to inform them of her new position, thank them for being clients, and express her confidence that Delorier will continue to provide them with competent and professional service even though she has left the firm. Clemens's actions are A. a violation of the code and standards, B. appropriate because she is protecting the interests of her clients, C. appropriate as long as she contacts only those clients who are personal friends to inform them of her position. Now, while all this sounds quite good and straightforward, but there's a major problem. The information related to clients is the property of the company. It is the property of Delorier. And if Clemens is downloading this information and sending it to her personal email without the permission of the employer, without the explicit written permission, that is a problem. So therefore, she is in violation of the code and standards. If she wants to thank her clients, she can do that while she is still employed at the company, because when she is employed at the company, she has access to company information. She can use that to email the clients or reach out to the clients and thank them. But downloading the data and then transferring it to a personal email is very problematic. It is a violation of standard 4A, loyalty. Therefore, the best answer is A. Clemens's actions are a violation of the code and standards. The next case has to do with 4B, additional compensation arrangements. According to this standard, members and candidates must not accept gifts, benefits, compensation, or consideration that competes with or might reasonably be expected to create a conflict of interest with their employer's interest unless they obtain written consent from all parties involved. Now, moving to the case, Estevez is a senior research analyst with BIR, a boutique investment research firm covering micro and small cap companies. BIR engages in issuer paid research whereby companies hire BIR to provide research to promote their stock to investors. Estevez helps BIR select which companies to cover and also oversees a team of junior research analysts. Some companies offer Estevez a separate bonus if she selects them for coverage. Estevez's actions are A. A violation of the code and standards because her independence and objectivity in conducting the research are compromised. B. Acceptable as long as Estevez does not use material non-public information from the company. C. Acceptable as long as her company approves in writing the payments offered by the covered companies. Now, in this case, given that some companies are offering her a separate bonus to be covered, basically, it might seem that this is a problem. But if we carefully go over the standard says that accepting this additional compensation is okay as long as Estevez gets written approval from all parties concerned. Now, the party or the company that is offering the bonus obviously is going to give something in writing, so that's covered. The other entity is the company where Estevez works. She works for BIR. So as long as she gets written approval from BIR that it is okay to get a bonus from this third party that wants to be covered, then this is okay. And hence the best answer is C. Estevez's actions are acceptable as long as her company approves in writing the payments offered by covered companies. So the best answer is C. Moving to standard 4C, responsibilities of supervisors. According to this standard, members and candidates must make reasonable efforts to ensure that anyone subject to their supervision or authority complies with applicable laws, rules, regulations, and the code and standards. Now the case. RCG is a registered futures commission merchant with several branch offices. Doohy is hired to be the branch manager at one of RCG's offices in Memphis, Tennessee. Doohy supervises many employees, including Luis. Doohy allows Luis to work from home and seldom checks in with Luis regarding work. Unknown to either Doohy or RCG, Luis also works for another futures commission merchant called AFCM. Working with another employee at RCG, Luis arranges swap agreements for AFCM through RCG. The other RCG employee receives all the commissions for the accounts, but she secretly splits them with Luis. Doohy is not aware of Luis's involvement in this commission sharing arrangement. Doohy's actions as a supervisor are A. A violation of the CFA Institute Code and Standards, acceptable if the RCG headquarters conducts regular audits of the Memphis branch, acceptable if RCG did not develop adequate policies and procedures for the detection and deterrence of possible employee misconduct. Now, the point here is that Doohy is a supervisor, and it is his responsibility to make sure that processes and procedures are in place to detect any activity that is not right. Now, here, given the facts presented, Luis works from home and Doohy seldom checks in with Luis regarding work. So it appears that Doohy is a little aloof. He doesn't really have the systems and processes in place to check whether his employees are doing the right thing, and therefore Doohy is in violation of the CFA Institute Code and Standards. The next case also has to do with responsibilities of supervisors. Sasha Denikin began his investment career as a research analyst for Galak Investment Partners. Galak was founded and is controlled by Sasha's father, Franz Denikin. After a few years, Sasha becomes a director of the company and Franz transfers ownership of Galak to him. Franz tells the firm's clients that he retains management of all client accounts. When the long-time chief compliance officer of Galak retires, Sasha is also promoted to CCO or Chief Compliance Officer. Sasha has no previous compliance experience. The prior CCO will retain compliance responsibilities as a consultant and mentor and train Sasha. In spite of his designation, Sasha has no real authority to supervise his father's conduct, and Franz continues to exert absolute control over Galak. Sasha raises multiple compliance issues to his father regarding his father's actions, but Sasha is powerless to enforce company policies and procedures concerning his father's conduct. After continuing to serve as Galak's CCO for some time, Sasha finally resigns in frustration. Sasha Denikin's actions are A. a violation of the code and standards, B. acceptable because Franz holds the actual power and client responsibilities at the firm and thus cannot be under the supervision of a subordinate, and C. acceptable because Sasha resigns as CCO when he is frustrated by his inability to exercise his compliance responsibilities. Now, here it might appear that Sasha is following the code and standards because he eventually resigns. But if we think about it, Sasha accepted the role of CCO or compliance officer without any previous compliance experience. So this is problematic. Also, Sasha did not insist on having the necessary control in order to exercise his responsibility. So therefore, we can say that Sasha is actually in violation of the code and standards. He took on a position and a role for which he had neither the experience nor the expertise, and he also was not given the necessary power to be able to do the job effectively. So therefore, we can say that Sasha Denikin's actions were a violation of the code and standards, which is option A.